some disorders today, and we're going to start with anybody who wants to go.
All right, I'll go. All right, so my topic was autism spectrum disorder. And autism has to do with social interactions, day-to-day interaction also. It's also a spectrum. It's not a disorder itself. So therefore, you cannot say a child is autism. They are on the autistic spectrum. That means it's a full range. So pretty much you have to picture it as an umbrella. Autism spectrum disorder is the umbrella top, and underneath is like Rett syndrome, Heller syndrome, unknown disorders, just other disorders that we'll talk about here today. And pretty much autism spectrum disorder doesn't have to do with gender or race or anything like that. It's not genetically passed down, but there's been patterns. It actually appears more in boys. It's 1 in 32 in males and 1 in 182 in females. But the thing is, females actually is more severe, which is interesting, even though it's more common in males.
Crazy.
Right. And so, that's pretty much it. But the autism spectrum disorder is all these topics that we'll talk about today.
And speaking on male and female, with Rett syndrome, mine is mainly for females, but it does definitely go with males as well. Mine is Rett syndrome. It has to do with, the way people interact in the way that their hand movements are, their eyes are, the way that their muscles contract and things like that. So it definitely affects the way the child grows and the way that the child pretty much progresses in life. Anyways, I don't know why I do this.
Anyways, I'm going to talk about Asperger's.
We're back, Carl. We're back. Carl?
Okay.
Asperger's, send it!
All right. So Asperger's is a chronic disorder, and chronic means you're basically born with it. It's found in young children, and then it will last a lifetime. If it's treated correctly, adults with AS can usually lead a seemingly normal life with close relationships and close family members. Essentially, it's just it makes it hard to socialize and understand empathy and get social cues. They might miss a joke, or they don't understand that crying means sad and smiling means happy. Just different stuff like that, and they have weird body language that might not be normal, and it affects everyone around them because they have to deal socially with that person. And you can't just diagnose someone with AS. It has to be diagnosed now as a high-functioning form of autism. So it's on the autism spectrum, as Amber talked about. And it's a hard thing for families to deal with too, but just being conscious and knowing about it helps a lot with people who are dealing with it.
Hi everyone, my name's Dominic. I chose the subject to do other disability disorder, and it covers a variety of all disabilities. I chose to do the special education systems in schools, in which they try to be on.
But no, I feel like in the education system, autism spectrum disorder, it clearly lacks, because in public schools, autistic children under the spectrum are put in separate classes, which is very interesting, is that they're not integrated. And I think that's not okay, because if you separate them from the world as they grow up and go through school, they're going to be outcast. Because ever since they're born,
they get discriminated against. They're trying to promote that.
Exactly.
They're trying to find secondary support systems to help kids in classrooms to get them to college so they don't become dropouts and just work minimum wage jobs the rest of their life. Mm-hmm. They try and make them feel singled out, so they put them in classrooms. They give them all these techniques to deal with problems that they aren't able to deal with as normal people be able to.
Yeah. In my high school, we had, especially in art classes and electives, we had a lot of the special ed kids brought into them. And sometimes it was hard because one had a disorder where he hurt himself physically, so they had to put a helmet on him and then he
Wow.
would scream like very loud, just randomly, and that was always hard to work with. But I think if you put them in the right classes, like in art, it wasn't so hard.
Yeah.
Because, everybody's talking in art. Everybody's loud, having a good time. There's, like, pottery wheels going, everything. So it wasn't that big of a distraction. But I think if you bring someone in like that into a classroom of, like, where you're trying to take a test, something like
Right.
that.
Could be
that
distracting.
Yeah. And so I understand, like, why they try to maybe, like, segregate them. But I think it should be determined on the class type and, like, what they have.
Right.
Specifically,
What
you know what I
disability
mean?
they have, yeah.
Yeah.
The different variations of them on the spectrum.
Mhm.
Agreed, yeah. I think it's very interesting, though, because in my high school, we were separated. We were oil and water.
Yeah.
And therefore, and we had something called Best Buddies. And we would go and, like, go hang out with them as, like, a club, if that makes sense. Like special needs children turned into a club at my school. It wasn't like, oh, like, they were, like, mixed in with us.
Like
it
normal kids.
Exactly, because to us, it didn't seem normal. You were like, oh, they're the special needs kids, and it's kind of sad in my opinion. At least where I'm from, like, we segregated them. They're like, oh no, they're special needs, like they deserve special treatment, which is no. They're humans like us. We're exactly the same chromosomes. So I find that very interesting in the school system.
Especially different when, like, you get to know one of them. You know what I mean? Because they're so, like, some of them are
Super
so
sweet,
lighthearted
yeah.
and sweet. And, like, you can obviously tell when someone has something like that, like, especially in schools because they are so separated. But, I mean, I wouldn't even know if someone with, like, a low-functioning form of, like, autism, you know what I mean?
Right, sometimes you don't even know.
You don't even
Yeah.
know. Like, some people
Yeah.
will tell you, like, yeah, I have a slight form of autism, and you'll be like, whoa, like, I had no idea.
Right, and sometimes it's like a tick, like some people, they just move their head a little bit, or like they can't stop doing their leg. But I think it's interesting that everything files down to a disorder, like ADHD, things like that, like, oh, they have a disorder. And then for that, you get like IEPs and stuff like that, and it's just so interesting how you get labeled. Like, if you have dyslexia, like, boom, you're automatically labeled since you walk into that school system, and you qualify for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just another check.
And they try to deal with it with, like, drugs and stuff, which I don't think is very...
Well, it's like the wrong way to do it, because my little brother, he has ADHD, and they give him medication, which caused him to have high blood pressure, where he almost, like, died.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's not good for you at all, so I don't believe in that at all.
My mom's a dietitian, and she always will talk about how changing your diet can basically help most anything.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
She had
true, though.
arthritis in her
Yeah.
ankle, and she changed her diet, and her arthritis went completely away.
That is very
There was
interesting.
a lady that I know had cancer, and she denied chemo. She just changed her diet, and she had stage 4 cancer. In
Oh,
her,
wow.
And what are these called again?
Her
Lymph
thyroids.
Lymph
Her
nodes?
thyroids, and she was like, they gave her 3 months to live, and she changed her diet, and now she's cancer free for 6 years.
They say
Shit.
that about autism on the spectrum and stuff like that. They're saying that the GMO and the chemicals in our foods
Causing it.
is causing
Yeah.
people to be on the spectrum.
Well,
It's
that's why
so
Europe.
interesting.
I'm pretty sure that's why Europe banned them there, because it
Right?
causes so many birth defects. and
Yeah, it's
issues.
crazy just seeing the chemicals and how we're producing our foods. I mean, what is it? 85% of our foods in the grocery store
it's GMO,
are
yeah.
GMOs.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
And the thing is, now they don't have to label it, and it's causing all these birth defects,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is absolutely crazy.
They talk about it because the Food and Drug Administration supplies all the food and all the drugs.
drugs,
Yeah.
they don't
So there's
care.
like a theory about they're trying to make us sicker, so we buy more
More
of their
drugs,
drugs,
yeah.
and vice
It's-
versa.
It's like a weird,
And
like,
it's
hand in hand in a
yeah.
bad way.
Demand.
Well,
Like
that's
you
why
think it'd be
that's-
two completely different
Well,
things.
that's why
Yeah.
the whole foods are always so expensive, because none of them own that. It's like pure.
Right.
Real
foods.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's all plastic.
It's crazy.
Basically, anything that's like packaged, you shouldn't really be eating.
No.
That's what I always learned.
Just grow
I just think
everything,
how
have your
it
own
plays
farm.
in is so genetic. Like, you're the mother eating the food, right? Processes to the child, and how genetically that could form autism or just different syndromes is just
That's
mind
where it
boggling.
starts in
Yeah.
pregnancy.
It's crazy.
All right, we'll be back to you after these commercial breaks.
Bye.
Bye.
That was good.